I don't think troops will be necessary in Panama. What Panama has done is terrible for national security for this part of the world.
One of the greatest engineering marvels, which served as a backbone for global trade and human civilization, has now been thrust into the spotlight. A shocking discovery has forced the USA to shut down the Panama Canal, and no one knows why. This isn't just a minor disruption. Global trade is in chaos, economies are at risk, and world leaders are searching for answers. But here's the real question. What did they find that was so urgent, so dangerous, that it led to an immediate shutdown? As investigators dig deeper, the truth is becoming even stranger and far more unsettling than anyone expected. Let's uncover the mystery in this video. A crisis that could start a war. The Panama Canal, the lifeline of global trade, has just been shut down by the United States in a move no one saw coming. This isn't just a minor inconvenience. This canal handles billions of dollars in trade every single day, allowing massive cargo ships to cut weeks off their journeys by avoiding the long and treacherous route around South America. But now something unthinkable has happened. Something so dangerous, so unexpected, that even the United States had no choice but to act. Could this be a crisis so severe that it will ignite a conflict between the United States and China? For over a century, the Panama Canal has been an engineering masterpiece, defying the odds and proving that human ingenuity knows no limits. It is not just a canal, it is a geopolitical artery, a structure so critical that its failure could cripple the global supply chain. Imagine this, a 50-mile waterway, carefully constructed to allow ships to pass through one of the narrowest parts of the American continent. Before the canal existed, ships had to endure a dangerous and time-consuming journey around the tip of South America, a route that could add months to shipping times and millions of dollars in extra costs. Every year, over 12,000 ships pass through this waterway, carrying everything from oil and gas to electronics and food. The canal isn't just a shortcut, it's an economic lifeline. It saves companies billions of dollars annually, keeping global trade efficient, fast, and cost-effective. Without it, the world would grind to a halt. But now that lifeline is at risk. It started as a regular day for the Panama Canal Authority. Cargo ships lined up, waiting to pass through the locks, just as they had for over a century. Everything seemed normal until it wasn't. Reports started trickling in about strange vibrations in the locks. At first, no one paid much attention. Maybe it was just a glitch, something a quick repair could fix. But as the hours passed, things took a terrifying turn. Engineers rushed to investigate. They deployed underwater drones to inspect the canal's foundation. What they found wasn't just wear and tear, it was a full-blown crisis. Hairline cracks had appeared in critical sections of the infrastructure. At first glance, they looked like the kind of minor damage expected in a century-old structure. But when geologists and structural experts took a closer look, their findings were chilling. These weren't just ordinary cracks. They seemed to be linked to something far more sinister, a hidden tectonic fault line running directly beneath the canal. If the experts were right, the stakes were unimaginable. A rupture in this fault line could collapse sections of the canal, making it completely unusable. The impact, global chaos. This wasn't just about delayed shipments or higher costs. This was about a potential economic meltdown. Supply chains would crumble. Oil prices would skyrocket. Countries that depend on the canal for trade, especially China and the United States, would be forced into a brutal economic battle. The damage to the Panama Canal couldn't have come at a worse time. The world economy was already walking on a tightrope, struggling to recover from years of relentless crises. The shockwaves of the COVID pandemic had barely settled when the war between Russia and Ukraine sent global trade spiraling into uncertainty. Supply chains were shattered, inflation soared, and nations faced an energy crisis that left industries scrambling for survival. Just when there was hope for stabilization, this happens. The lifeline of international trade is suddenly severed, throwing everything into deeper turmoil. Global commerce operates on a delicate balance, and the Panama Canal plays a crucial role in keeping that balance steady. With it shut down, shipments are delayed, costs skyrocket, and companies are forced to take longer, costlier routes. Oil tankers that once cut through the canal in a matter of hours now have to travel around the southern tip of South America, adding weeks to their journey. The same goes for container ships carrying essential goods, electronics, food, and raw materials, all facing drastic shipping delays. The result? Supply shortages, rising costs, and inflation spiraling further out of control. But the true nightmare lies in the geopolitical fallout. China, the United States, and Europe are all heavily dependent on the canal. If the shutdown lasts too long, tensions could escalate into something far more dangerous. Could this lead to economic warfare? Could it trigger further political conflicts? The uncertainty alone is enough to send global markets into freefall. And then comes the most unsettling question. Was this purely a natural disaster, or is something more sinister at play? Some experts fear that this may not be just wear and tear. The way the cracks formed and the suddenness of the damage raises red flags. If sabotage is involved, the implications are catastrophic. But even if it is a natural disaster, the damage is already done. Repairing the canal is not an overnight task. The world must brace itself for a long, painful recovery, if recovery is even possible. The shocking shutdown. As soon as Washington got the report, everything changed. The United States made a bold and immediate decision: shut down the Panama Canal. The move stunned the world. Was it a necessary precaution to prevent catastrophe? Or was there something far more strategic at play? The canal may be under Panama's official control, but it has always been a critical U.S. asset. The United States played a pivotal role in its construction, operated it for nearly a century, and even after handing it over to Panama in 1999, maintained a deep interest in its stability. Any disruption to this trade route affects American commerce, military logistics, and global influence. If there was even a hint of impending collapse, the U.S. had every reason to intervene. But here's where things take an even darker turn. Was this just an unfortunate accident, or was something else at work? Some experts believe the cracks may not be natural at all. While normal wear and tear would be expected in a century-old structure, the sudden and precise nature of these fractures raised eyebrows. What if this wasn't just the result of geological forces? What if sabotage was involved? If that's the case, the consequences would be catastrophic. A deliberate attack on such a vital artery of global commerce could be seen as an act of war. The world has witnessed economic conflicts before: currency wars, sanctions, and trade disputes. But this would be an entirely new level of aggression. If the U.S. suspected a foreign power was behind this, particularly China, the canal shutdown could be the first shot in a much bigger economic battle. But regardless of who or what caused the damage, the reality remains the same. The Panama Canal is paralyzed. Governments and multinational corporations immediately began scrambling for alternatives. But the harsh truth is, there is no easy fix. The canal was designed to be irreplaceable. The alternative routes, like the Cape of Good Hope in Africa or the Arctic shipping lanes, are far longer, more dangerous, and significantly more expensive. A reroute could add weeks to a journey, making goods scarce, prices higher, and economies even weaker. The global supply chain is already stretched thin. Factories in Asia depend on raw materials shipped through the canal. Energy exports rely on tankers cutting across it. Retail giants and automobile manufacturers depend on fast deliveries that suddenly don't exist. This isn't just about inconvenience. This could cripple entire industries. The world is feeling the heat. China, the European Union, and the United States are all on edge. The longer this crisis drags on, the more likely it is to trigger a global recession. Trade deals could collapse, small economies could crumble, and inflation, already at dangerous levels, could spiral out of control. As news of the shutdown spread, panic set in. The United States, realizing the gravity of the situation, immediately sent in teams from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers to assess the damage. They promised to work alongside the Panama Canal Authority to stabilize this critical infrastructure. But was this just about fixing the canal, or was there another agenda? Behind the scenes, tensions were boiling over. Washington knew that whoever controlled the canal controlled the flow of global trade. If there was even a slight risk of foreign interference, the U.S. wasn't going to sit back and let another power dictate the future of world commerce. Could this crisis become an excuse for the U.S. to reassert controls over the canal? Could Panama, a small nation caught in the middle, resist the pressure from global superpowers? While the world debated the politics and suspicions, shipping companies were facing immediate chaos. With no clear answers, they had to make impossible decisions. Wait indefinitely for the canal to reopen, reroute and take on massive extra costs, or halt shipments altogether. Every option came with a devastating price tag. And then came the biggest question of all. How long would this last? Could the Panama Canal Authority, along with American engineers, repair the damage before it became permanent, or was this the start of a prolonged economic crisis? Amid the uncertainty, a startling discovery emerged, one that shifted the narrative entirely. Researchers using advanced sonar technology uncovered submerged structures beneath the waterway, potentially rewriting the region's history. But what are these mysterious structures, and to what are they connected? The discovery of ancient structures. During a routine investigation of the structural cracks in the Panama Canal, researchers made an unexpected discovery that could reshape our understanding of the region's history. Employing advanced sonar technology to assess the canal's foundations, they detected submerged structures beneath the waterway. Initially presumed to be natural formations, closer examination revealed that these were, in fact, remnants of an ancient civilization. Intricate designs and advanced engineering techniques adorn these structures, suggesting a level of sophistication that seemed far ahead of their time. Some formations appeared to be pathways, while others resembled foundations for buildings, indicating a complex and organized society. The Isthmus of Panama has long been recognized as a significant crossroads for human migration and trade, but these findings hint at a previously unknown civilization that thrived in this region. The discovery of such advanced engineering challenges existing historical narratives and suggests that the isthmus was not only a transit point, but also a center of innovation and development. This revelation adds a new layer to the rich tapestry of Panama's history. The region's strategic importance has been acknowledged since the early 16th century when Spanish explorer Vasco Núñez de Balboa first crossed the isthmus in 1513, recognizing its potential as a shortcut between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Over the centuries, various plans were proposed to construct a canal to facilitate this passage, culminating in the monumental engineering feat of the Panama Canal in the early 20th century. The construction of the canal itself was a testament to human ingenuity, overcoming immense natural challenges to create a vital artery for global trade. However, the recent discovery suggests that the region's engineering prowess dates back much further than previously thought. The intricate designs and construction techniques observed in the submerged structures indicate a deep understanding of engineering principles by this ancient civilization. The implications of this discovery are profound. Archaeologists and historians are now faced with the task of uncovering more about this lost civilization. Who were these people? What was the extent of their knowledge and influence? How did their society function, and what led to its decline? These questions open new avenues of research and could significantly alter our understanding of pre-Columbian history in the Americas. Moreover, this finding underscores the importance of the Panama Canal region, not only as a modern engineering marvel, but also as a site of significant archaeological interest. The submerged structures serve as a reminder that beneath the waters of this crucial trade route lies a hidden history waiting to be explored. As researchers continue to study these remnants, we may gain invaluable insights into the ancient peoples who once inhabited this land and their contributions to human civilization. The discovery of these submerged structures beneath the Panama Canal is a remarkable development that bridges the past and present. It highlights the enduring significance of the isthmus as a hub of human activity and innovation. As investigations continue, we can anticipate a deeper understanding of the ancient civilization that once thrived here and its impact on the broader narrative of human history, the race against time and global crisis. Archaeologists summoned to investigate the canal's structural issues unearthed evidence suggesting that the region's strategic significance was recognized long before the canal's construction. Artifacts indicate that ancient civilizations may have attempted their own water management systems, potentially rewriting our understanding of the area's history. This discovery not only enriches our historical knowledge, but also complicates current repair efforts, as preserving these archaeological sites becomes a priority. Some experts speculate that these ancient builders had knowledge of hydrodynamics and engineering far beyond what we had previously attributed to pre-Columbian civilizations. Could it be possible that this lost civilization had mastered water control systems centuries before the modern era? Meanwhile, the practical challenges of dealing with the cracks were enormous. Repairing the canal's foundations required specialized equipment, massive amounts of funding, and coordination on a global scale. Shipping companies were already feeling the pinch as delays started to ripple through supply chains. Goods that would normally take days to transport were now taking weeks. The cost of these delays wasn't just financial, it also had real-world impacts on industries and consumers around the globe. Joe Rogan's famous comment about history being buried under layers of time hits differently when you look at the Panama Canal's recent challenges. Here we are dealing with cracks in a canal that carries the weight of global trade while also uncovering hidden treasures buried beneath. It's not just about fixing a waterway anymore, it's about balancing modern needs with ancient revelations. The Panama Canal, one of the world's most important trade routes, now stands at the intersection of engineering crises and newfound wealth, and things are looking a little too complicated for comfort. Before we dive deeper, it's clear this story will shake up more than just shipping routes. Engineers aren't just worried, they're sounding the alarm. Even a small earthquake could turn those cracks into something catastrophic. Think about what happened with the Oroville Dam collapse in 2017. One small issue turned into a near disaster that displaced hundreds of thousands. With 12,000 ships passing through the canal every year, a failure here would be a global disaster. But here's where things get even messier. Deep below the surface, investigators found rare minerals like lithium and cobalt. These aren't just any materials. They're the backbone of modern tech, from smartphones to electric cars. Suddenly, this isn't just an engineering problem, it's a geopolitical flashpoint. The United States is framing its involvement as infrastructure-focused, but let's not kid ourselves. Critics are quick to point out that securing access to these resources might be the real game here. And guess who's also interested? Yep, China. This isn't just about trade, it's about power. Central and South America's economies are growing, and the canal is a key player in global supply chains. If it fails, the ripple effects will hit every corner of the world. By stabilizing the canal, the United States isn't just protecting commerce, it's countering potential rivals like China, which has been pouring money into Latin America. Whoever controls the canal doesn't just control a waterway, they hold a chess piece in the game of global politics. Could these challenges eventually outpace our ability to fix them? The Panama Canal's risks, structural wear, environmental pressures, and geopolitical tensions are stacking up. If the worst happens, global trade will grind to a halt, and the economic impact will be felt worldwide. The stakes couldn't be higher, and every decision made now will shape the future of global trade, environmental sustainability, and political power. As the crisis unfolds, it's clear that time is running out. Engineers are working around the clock to reinforce weak points in the canal, but it's a race against time. Alternative shipping routes such as the Arctic or around the southern tip of South America are costly and inefficient. The global economy, still reeling from the impacts of COVID and the ongoing tensions between Russia and Ukraine, cannot afford another major disruption. The economic impact of this crisis is staggering. Supply chains that were already fragile after years of turmoil are now facing an even greater test. The cost of goods will inevitably rise, inflation will worsen, and companies that rely on just-in-time logistics may face financial ruin. The Panama Canal isn't just a waterway, it's a lifeline for international commerce. If the cracks worsen, it's not just about higher shipping costs, it's about entire industries grinding to a halt. Governments and corporations are scrambling to mitigate the damage. Some nations are looking into stockpiling essential goods, while others are pressuring Panama to fast-track repairs. But nothing can change the fact that this is a massive, complex problem with no easy solution. The reality is that the world is running out of time to fix this before the consequences spiral out of control. And then things got even stranger. While investigating the cracks, researchers stumbled upon something no one expected. Using high-tech sonar equipment, they discovered submerged structures beneath the canal. At first, they thought these were just natural formations, but a closer look revealed something shocking. These weren't natural at all. They were remnants of an ancient civilization, complete with intricate designs and engineering techniques that seemed way ahead of their time. Some of the structures looked like pathways, while others resembled foundations for buildings. The Isthmus of Panama has long been recognized as a significant crossroads for human migration and trade. But these findings hint at a previously unknown civilization that thrived in this region. The discovery of such advanced engineering challenges existing historical narratives and suggests that the isthmus was not only a transit point, but also a center of innovation and development. The construction of the canal itself was a testament to human ingenuity, overcoming immense natural challenges to create a vital artery for global trade. However, the recent discovery suggests that the region's engineering prowess dates back much further than previously thought. The intricate designs and construction techniques observed in the submerged structures indicate a deep understanding of engineering principles by this ancient civilization. The implications of this discovery are profound. Archaeologists and historians are now faced with the task of uncovering more about this lost civilization. Who were these people? What was the extent of their knowledge and influence? How did their society function, and what led to its decline? These questions open new avenues of research and could significantly alter our understanding of pre-Columbian history in the Americas. Moreover, this finding underscores the importance of the Panama Canal region, not only as a modern engineering marvel, but also as a site of significant archaeological interest. The submerged structures serve as a reminder that beneath the waters of this crucial trade route lies a hidden history waiting to be explored. As researchers continue to study these remnants, we may gain invaluable insights into the ancient peoples who once inhabited this land and their contributions to human civilization. In conclusion, the Panama Canal stands at a crossroads of history, trade, and geopolitics. What started as a routine engineering challenge has turned into a global crisis with implications for economics, history, and power dynamics. The decisions made in the coming months will determine whether the world can recover from this shock or if we are on the brink of a new era of disruption and uncertainty. One thing is clear: this is no longer just about cracks in a canal, it's about the fate of global civilization itself.
The canal's dark secret. It started like any other day at the Panama Canal. Ships were lined up, waiting to pass through, and engineers were keeping an eye on the infrastructure. Then, things got weird. Vibrations started shaking the locks. At first, it seemed like a minor technical issue, something a quick fix could handle. But as the hours passed, the situation escalated. But then, the water asterisk vanished. Asterisk. Something was stirring below. Underwater drones were sent down to inspect the canal's foundations, and what they found was beyond alarming. Hairline cracks had appeared in critical sections of the structure. Now, old infrastructure gets cracks all the time, but this wasn't normal. Geologists took one look and realized the problem was much worse than anyone imagined. The cracks lined up perfectly with a hidden tectonic fault right beneath the canal. If this fault decided to move, the entire waterway could be in serious trouble. The moment the discovery went public, panic spread like wildfire. Shutting down the Panama Canal, even for a short time, would throw global trade into chaos. The US, which technically handed control of the canal over to Panama in 1999, still has a major stake in keeping it running. So they sent in the US Army Corps of Engineers to assess the damage and figure out how to fix it. But let's be real. Was this just about fixing some cracks? Or was there something bigger at play? Some people started whispering about an ancient secret buried beneath the canal. And when the underwater scans came back, the rumors turned into reality. During their inspections, engineers stumbled upon something unexpected: massive submerged structures beneath the canal. At first, they thought it was just random rock formations. But when sonar scans revealed symmetrical patterns, detailed carvings, and what looked like roads, the truth hit hard. These weren't natural formations. They were ruins. An ancient civilization had built something under what is now the Panama Canal. But who were they? And how did their structures remain hidden for so long? Archaeologists were brought in, and the discoveries kept coming. The ruins suggested that an advanced society had once lived here, possibly one with knowledge of water management that rivaled modern technology. Some structures looked like massive gates or channels, hinting that this civilization might have attempted to control water flow centuries or even millennia ago. Here's where things get messy. Some theorists claim the US government already knew about these ruins and had been keeping them a secret. The timing of their intervention seemed a little too perfect. Did they shut down the canal to prevent the truth from coming out? Or were they using the situation as an excuse to reassert control over this strategic trade route? And then came the bombshell. While investigating the cracks, researchers found rare minerals deep below the canal. Minerals like lithium and cobalt. These are the backbone of modern technology, essential for everything from smartphones to electric cars. Suddenly, this wasn't just an engineering crisis, it was a geopolitical goldmine. With these discoveries, the situation spiraled into something much bigger than a few cracked walls. The US wasn't the only one paying attention. China, already heavily invested in Latin America, started making moves. If there were valuable resources under the canal, controlling access to them could shift global power dynamics. Environmentalists, on the other hand, were horrified. Mining beneath the canal could destroy its delicate ecosystem. If something went wrong, it wouldn't just be the economy at risk, it would be the entire region's water supply and biodiversity. The canal's closure is triggering a domino effect. The US is sending more personnel, China is increasing pressure through diplomatic channels, and Panama itself is stuck in the middle. Meanwhile, shipping companies are scrambling to reroute goods, some considering the lengthy detour around South America's Cape Horn, a move that could add weeks to delivery times and drive up costs across the board. Climate change, deforestation, and increased human demand are taking a toll. With the canal out of operation, engineers are scrambling to find ways to stabilize its water levels before the entire system becomes unsustainable. If those lakes dry up, the canal won't just be temporarily closed, it could be unusable for good. There's no easy fix to this mess. Engineers are racing against time to stabilize the canal's structure, while governments are maneuvering behind closed doors, trying to position themselves for maximum advantage. The US is talking about long-term involvement, which raises even more questions about Panama's sovereignty over the canal. China, which has been pouring money into Latin America, is unlikely to back down quietly. The discoveries beneath the water add another layer of complexity. If the ruins hold real historical significance, Panama could see a surge in interest from archaeologists, historians, and tourism industries. But at what cost? Will preserving history come at the expense of global trade? Will the newly found resources spark international conflict? This isn't just a problem for shipping companies. The canal is deeply intertwined with the environment around it. The people living nearby, the wildlife, the entire ecosystem, it all depends on the same water. And here's the harsh truth. Every attempt to fix things comes with serious risks. If they interfere too much with the infrastructure, they could push an already fragile system over the edge. What started as an engineering challenge has spiraled into an environmental emergency with consequences that could stretch far beyond Central America. The ruins under the canal were just the start. A bigger problem was unfolding. Water was running low, and without it, the canal was doomed. Water shortages and a looming seismic threat. Engineers are scrambling to find a solution. Some believe recycling water in the locks could ease the problem, reducing reliance on rainfall. Others suggest adopting a saltwater system like the one used in the Suez Canal. Then there are those advocating for massive reforestation efforts and better watershed management to stabilize the natural water cycle. But if the only priority is keeping the canal open without addressing the deeper environmental crisis, the real problems will only get worse. The future of the canal is inseparable from the health of its surroundings, and ignoring that reality could lead to catastrophic consequences. Something else is adding to the unease. Strange occurrences have been reported in the canal's waters, whirlpools forming unexpectedly, eerie sounds reverberating beneath the surface. Local fishermen are convinced something unnatural is at play. Scientists suspect the explanation is something even more troubling: tectonic shifts. It turns out there may be a fault line running directly under the canal, causing pressure anomalies and small seismic events. If these theories are correct, the canal's already precarious situation could be far more dangerous than anyone anticipated. Maintaining navigation routes and repairing aging structures is difficult enough, but dealing with the potential for earthquakes or underwater landslides is another level of crisis altogether. Communities near the canal are growing anxious. Some turn to old legends, whispering about hidden forces beneath the land. Others worry about more immediate threats: earthquakes, collapsing walls, ships caught in disaster. One thing is certain: nature doesn't abide by human schedules. If the ground beneath the canal starts shifting, all the technology in the world won't stop it. The timeline for finding a real solution is growing shorter, and every delay brings the situation closer to an irreversible tipping point. Without that, it's only a matter of time before the entire system collapses. This could be an opportunity to transform the canal into a model of resilient infrastructure, or it could mark the beginning of its decline into an outdated relic that can no longer keep up with the demands of a changing world. This crisis is part of a much bigger story. The Panama Canal is not the only vulnerable trade route. The world got a preview of what disruption looks like when a single ship got stuck in the Suez Canal in 2021, blocking traffic for nearly a week. That single event delayed billions of dollars in goods and sent shockwaves through global supply chains. The potential for disaster in Panama is even greater, not because of a single accident, but because of a slow, relentless degradation that threatens the entire system. Comparing the Panama and Suez canals isn't straightforward. The Suez has been plagued by geopolitical turmoil, international disputes, and military conflicts. The Panama Canal's problems are different: failing infrastructure, an increasingly unreliable water supply, and now the terrifying prospect of a fault line running beneath it. These issues aren't about politics or power struggles. They're about whether human engineering can hold its own against the force of a rapidly changing planet. Then there's the Strait of Malacca, another critical passage connecting the Indian and Pacific Oceans. Unlike the Panama Canal, its biggest threats don't come from nature. They stem from overcrowding, piracy, and regional disputes. Each of these trade routes has its own set of vulnerabilities, but none are immune to disruption. The real question is whether the world has placed too much trust in an increasingly fragile system. Technology is racing to keep up with the threats. The Panama Canal now relies on advanced artificial intelligence systems to monitor structural weaknesses and predict failures before they happen. But even the most sophisticated technology can't predict tectonic activity. If the fault line beneath the canal is active, no amount of predictive software will prevent an earthquake. The world might be on the brink of a disaster that no amount of preparation can truly mitigate. Meanwhile, the cost of maintaining and upgrading the canal continues to soar. The United States and other global powers are pushing for international cooperation to secure critical trade routes, recognizing that these waterways affect far more than just the countries they pass through. The need for long-term solutions is urgent, but the response so far has been slow. Climate change, shifting trade patterns, and the reality of an aging canal are all converging into one massive, unresolved crisis. Beneath the surface, researchers are uncovering new information about the land and waters surrounding the canal. Geological formations, unusual underwater currents, even signs of untapped resources. Each discovery brings more questions. Are these findings clues to a better future? Or are they warnings of dangers yet to come? One thing is clear: the story of the Panama Canal is far from over. It is reaching one of its most critical junctures yet. Will it be saved, transformed into a model of sustainable infrastructure that adapts to the new realities of a changing planet? Or will it slowly become a relic, a cautionary tale of what happens when humanity underestimates the forces of nature? Time is running out, and the next decisions made will shape the fate of this vital waterway for generations to come. This is a moment of reckoning. The signs of trouble are everywhere, from the dropping water levels to the unexplained disturbances beneath the surface. The canal has withstood more than a century of challenges, but the future it faces now is unlike anything before. What happens next will determine whether it remains one of the world's most important trade routes, or whether it collapses under the weight of problems too long ignored. The world is watching, and the stakes could not be higher. The Panama Canal is not just a marvel of engineering, it is a lifeline for the global economy. Whether it stands strong or falls into disrepair will set a precedent for how humanity adapts to an uncertain future. The choices made today will echo for generations. Can we rise to the challenge, or will we stand by as one of the world's greatest achievements slips into crisis? The canal's crisis was bad enough, But now a bigger fight was starting. China's bold move against U.S. control. China has been creeping into Latin America, pouring billions into infrastructure, and setting the stage for something massive: a rival to the Panama Canal. This isn't just about trade. It's a geopolitical power play that could shake up the entire global economy. And the U.S.? They're not taking it lightly. The idea of a second canal has been floating around for ages, and Nicaragua has always been a prime candidate. Back in 2013, a Chinese billionaire tried to push through a $50 billion project to carve a massive waterway through the country. The plan? A 172-mile-long passage cutting straight from the Caribbean to the Pacific. But when China's stock market took a hit, the funding dried up and the project was shelved. Fast forward to today, Nicaragua's government is in talks with China again. But this time, it's not a billionaire's risky investment. This time, it's China itself, with its state-backed deep pockets and world-class engineering muscle. If this canal gets built, it would be a game-changer. Global shipping routes would be flipped on their heads, and China would have a direct line for its trade, no U.S. interference required. A project of this scale is not just about moving ships, it's about reshaping the economic and military map. The U.S. has relied on the Panama Canal as a crucial strategic choke point for decades. Any vessel wanting to shave thousands of miles off its journey between the Pacific and the Atlantic must pass through a canal that, even though handed over to Panama in 1999, has always had Washington's fingerprints all over it. But with China bankrolling a rival in Nicaragua, that dominance could be shattered. The potential impact is staggering. If China secures control over an alternative canal, shipping routes worldwide will be restructured. Trade costs could shift, port activity might decline in traditional hubs, and Beijing's influence over the Western Hemisphere would grow exponentially, not to mention the possible military ramifications. Having a China-friendly passageway could open the door for naval movements that bypass American oversight altogether. But China isn't putting all its eggs in one basket. Another plan is already in motion, and it doesn't even need a waterway. This one is called the Dry Canal, a land-based alternative spanning across Central America. Think high-speed rail, massive highways, and cargo getting moved across the continent on land instead of through locks and waterways. China has been quietly pumping billions into infrastructure in Honduras and El Salvador, setting the stage for an overland trade corridor. The idea is simple. Ships unload on one coast, cargo moves across at lightning speed, and it gets reloaded onto ships waiting on the other side. The advantages? No need to worry about Panama's water shortages, no decades-long construction project, and best of all, less reliance on a canal historically dominated by the USA land route also dodges some of the biggest logistical nightmares of a canal. Rising temperatures and inconsistent rainfall have put pressure on the Panama Canal's water supply, making it harder to keep the locks operational year-round. Droughts have already forced officials to limit how many ships can pass through, driving up costs and slowing down global trade. China's alternative wouldn't be tied to unpredictable weather, making it an appealing choice for companies sick of delays and restrictions. Unlike the Nicaragua Canal, this wouldn't be a full-blown waterway, but it could still offer a crucial alternative for global shipping. And just like that, China is setting itself up to have not one, not two, but possibly 3 different ways to bypass the Panama Canal entirely. If Colombia jumps into the equation, the balance of power shifts even further. China wouldn't just be relying on one route, it would have multiple trade corridors in play, giving it leverage over not just the US, but the entire Western economy. While the Nicaragua Canal could provide an alternative sea route, and the Dry Canal an overland corridor, Colombia's potential passage would add yet another layer to Beijing's strategic vision. Washington isn't sitting back and watching this happen. The idea of China controlling key trade routes in the Americas is setting off alarm bells in the Pentagon and beyond. The US military has ramped up patrols in the Caribbean. Intelligence agencies are closely monitoring Beijing's activities, and diplomatic pressure is mounting on Latin American countries to keep China at bay. Panama itself is feeling the heat. The US has been urging its government to reconsider its economic ties with China, and recently, Panama decided not to renew agreements with Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. At the same time, the Biden administration is pushing a major modernization effort for the Panama Canal, hoping to keep it competitive and secure its role as the dominant route. For Washington, this is about more than just trade. It's about keeping control over a region that has long been in its sphere of influence. If China locks down multiple trade routes through Latin America, the U.S. loses a major strategic advantage. For China, this isn't just about convenience. It's about survival. If tensions between Beijing and Washington escalate, the U.S. could strangle China's economy by restricting access to the Panama Canal. By building alternatives, China ensures that won't happen. Beyond that, controlling a major trade route would give Beijing immense leverage over the global economy. Imagine a world where China, not the U.S., gets to decide who moves goods efficiently and who faces costly delays. That's the power Beijing is aiming for. This isn't just a theory. China has already demonstrated how willing it is to weaponize trade. The country has used economic influence to pressure nations into political alignment, whether through investment deals, supply chain manipulation, or outright sanctions. A Chinese-controlled canal or network of routes would be another tool in that growing arsenal. China's relentless push for an alternative to the Panama Canal is already reshaping global trade. Whether it's a new Nicaragua canal, a high-speed dry canal, or a Colombian trade corridor, one thing is clear: the world's most crucial shipping routes won't look the same in the coming years. The Panama Canal is cracking, literally and politically. But is this just an infrastructure crisis? Or is it a calculated move in a silent war for global dominance? Leave your opinion in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.